You know, I was thinking about this
Well,
story, Carrie, and I thought I might be able to identify something that we disagree about, which I always enjoy, but I'm not sure we'll disagree. So I'm going to throw it out there. Um,
okay.
I think so. This story to me is an example of why culture matters more than politics. Because there's a culture. Look, the snitches here in Canada should be ashamed of themselves. But if they are not in a culture that facilitates feeling shame for their behavior, they probably won't. So
They feel
yeah,
pride.
they feel pride. So I think what we need, I'm not opposed to ostracism and shaming. I am opposed to Twitter mobs, but I mean people you know personally. I don't mean like, you know, you don't try and get the person fired. But if you know someone personally in your life who does this kind of stuff, the way to save Western civilization is to shame them for bad behavior. It is to ostracize them. It is to say, this was bad of you. I don't like it. I don't want to hang out with you if you're this kind of person. You are not part of my community if you continue to engage in this behavior. That's how you police communities without force. So I don't...
Wait, so
I would actually like to see these snitches, everyone in the building, just turn their back on the snitches and be like, we don't like you.
so you think I'll disagree with you
I
on this?
think so, because sometimes I've said it and I think you get nervous that I'm talking about Twitter mobs. So I'm trying to clarify. I'm not talking about Twitter mobs or people you don't know going after you, right?
You draw a distinction between just like a personal choice not to engage with that person anymore and to tell them you don't approve of their behavior, and then going and getting a mob of people
it's
to
like
come after them.
first-hand
I draw that
ostracism
distinction
versus
too. They're not the
second-hand
same.
ostracism, right? Like, if you said to me, that person over there, you need to shun because of something, I'm like, well, I don't know anything about that person. You do. If you want to shun them, go ahead. But like, I'm not going to pile on, right? That's the difference.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about.
Well, I don't disagree then. We're not, because that's the same thing. That's the way these things should be handled, I think. And as you know, there's recently there was a person I decided not to associate with anymore, and it wasn't a public thing until they wanted to make it one. Like, but it was like, I don't want to be around someone if you're bad, you're poor moral character. That's the way I think those things should be handled. I don't disagree with that. My issue is when you go out and you think that your moral judgment is then something that you need to whip up a mob, and then you have people who are based on secondhand and thirdhand and whatever moral outrage coming and trying to close businesses or trying to ruin a person online and all of that, and then how do you? I think you put yourself at risk of getting off on the power that you think you have there and doing that, and then it's almost like the book that we read for book club, Ordinary Men. If you start to be so drunk on your own power and ego, and I think then you could run afoul of thinking, I'm on the right side of history. I'm doing this mob is a just mob and it's for the right reasons. And, and then having a blind spot about, are you engaging in good behavior? Are you on the right side of history? I mean, that's what social justice warriors do. They think that it is a good thing for them to organize mobs and attack people's businesses. Right. They think that they are doing something good when they do that. And so,
I think that's correct. And the caveat I'll say is, like, I don't, even if I was personally these people getting arrested here, I wouldn't want the snitch to be forced out of a job, right? I would just want the goal with social pressure is to get behavior to change, not punish. Right? It's to get people to change their behavior. It's not to seek retribution against them. It's to get them to change their behavior and conform to standards of the community. So if a community standard is you don't call the cops because we're having a six person New Year's Eve party, then you want them to recognize that they will not be invited to the next barbecue right? They are not going to be a welcomed member of the community if they're a snitch. Snitches aren't welcome. Now, I'm not going to say snitches get stitches, but I want to. But yeah, I think
No.
that's what needs to happen. And if this is making me think of something else, and I'll be vague about it, but I think you're going to know what I'm talking about, Carrie. But I don't want to talk about it publicly, and I'm sure you don't either. A while ago, when we first started, there was someone who had harmed a very close friend of yours, and you were like, "Well, I don't want anything to do with that person," and I was like, "Well, I don't know the situation. I'm still going to have something to do with that person. I respect that you want to ostracize that person from your life, but I'm not going to ostracize a person." And it didn't cause you, and I didn't have a fight about it or anything. It was just like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Move on, right?
Right. Yeah, I almost forgot about that. Yeah.
Someone says Carter's in charge of his HOA. Carter doesn't. Carter hates HOAs. You need to listen more. You need to watch the show more if you think I'm even at HOA meetings. In fact, when we bought this house, we checked, and we checked to see, you check to see if there's liens on the house or any encumbrances or anything like that. And there was no requirement to be in an HOA. But when we moved in, the HOA started sending us all these letters like, you're required to be in the HOA. Pay your HOA fees. You have to be in the HOA. You're part of the HOA. I've ignored them for 10 years, 11 years. I am not.
You're not in charge.
Not part of the HOA. They can go F themselves. Okay.